Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger, who, by the way, just re-upped for another 2-year extension to rule Disney, has just come out and said that, basically speaking, MCU shows on Disney Plus have diluted the overall Disney product. Now, listen, for years, I've been saying, like, if you go back to the days when Marvel was putting out 3 or 4 movies a year, like without Disney Plus, that they were already starting to stretch themselves a little thin. Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel, literally was hands-on overseeing every single Marvel project, and he was already being kind of run into the ground. I remember getting together and talking with him back when the original Ant-Man was going out, and he was already frazzled with the number of projects that they were doing at that time. And now they've basically tripled the amount of stuff that they've done. And with all the Disney Plus shows coming out on Marvel Plus, plus all the movies, or on Disney Plus, I should say, plus all the movies coming out in theaters, they really have stretched themselves rather thin. And now Bob Iger, who is back in charge of Disney, is pretty much acknowledging that, basically suggesting that the number of shows they've had out there have diluted the overall product of the MCU. And I don't disagree with him. Like, look, when you look at movies like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, right? That was a movie I was really excited about because I really like the Ant-Man franchise. I love Paul Rudd in the role. We were going to get our first look at our first real substantive look at Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror in it. And so that was super hyped about it. But the movie was utterly disappointing. And now Iger himself has kind of pointed to the fact that maybe a lot of that had to do with the fact that they are spread a little bit too thin. He said this is coming from TV Line. Iger said the following: "There have been some disappointments. We would have liked some of our more recent releases to perform better," Iger said at his week's annual Sun Valley Conference, a gathering of A-list execs from the media and tech per Variety. "I think our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that," Iger continued in making his point. "They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series, and frankly, it diluted focus and attention at Marvel Studios. That is, I think, more the cause than anything else." Now, I'm not sure that I 100% agree with Bob Iger when he says or suggests that that is the de facto only reason why maybe some of Marvel's offerings, well, maybe at least a good half of them lately, have been a little bit disappointing, but it is certainly a major factor, right? Because again, you take this company that had this huge, robust, and very successful cinematic universe and then try to make it for television. And in a short amount of time, they've put out a lot of content. Now, how much of that was the original plan? I'm not really sure. Like when Bob Iger was launching Disney Plus, certainly the plan was to have some MCU content. But when Bob Chapek took over from Bob Iger, it seems like they really put his, foot to the floor to really try to ramp up the sheer amount and quantity of content that was going out on Disney Plus. Of course, dropping a lot of Pixar's original content on Disney Plus instead. Chapek seemed to double down on the Disney Plus push. So how much of this was a part of Bob Iger's original plan? How much of it was kind of a twisting of that plan by Bob Chapek? Is Bob Iger just now trying to get everything back on course? Now, listen, it wasn't that long ago that Bob Iger made the comment shortly after he took over for Bob Chapek again, saying that they were going to try to reel it back a little bit. And it seems now like he's specifically pointing at the dilution of the product by simply trying to do too much. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. Guys, as a small business owner, I am finding myself having to be in negotiations all the time, whether it's with new contractors, vendors, or even agencies that represent our company. Now, I don't like to go into these negotiations unarmed, so I found the perfect class on MasterClass, The Art of Negotiation by Chris Voss, a real-life former FBI lead hostage negotiator. Taking this class on MasterClass made me feel a lot more equipped and confident going into all these various negotiations I have to do on a regular basis. With With MasterClass, you can learn from the best to become your best anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. An annual membership starts at just $10 a month, and you get unlimited access to every instructor, thousands of online lessons, exclusive content, insight, and much more. There are over 180 classes to pick from, everything from filmmaking with Martin Scorsese all the way to cooking with the great Gordon Ramsay. In MasterClass, you will find practical lessons that you can apply to your life and work. So guys, get unlimited access to every class, and right now, as a John Campea Show listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off an annual membership. masterclass.com/Campea. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, it's kind of a thought I've had for years if you guys have watched me for any period of time, but do you agree with Bob Iger? Do you think it's difficult to maintain a certain level of quality when you're trying to crank out such a high volume of content? Have you been excited about the content we've got on Disney Plus, or have you in general been disappointed by it? I mean, I loved WandaVision and Ms. Marvel and a couple of things I enjoyed, but there's also been a number of things they put out, She-Hulk, one of them, that have been ultimately disappointing. Do you think maybe pulling back a little bit on the amount of original Marvel contents put out on Disney Plus is going to help their movie offerings? Maybe yes, maybe no. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks for checking out our video. Did you know that we have a daily podcast, hour-long, every single day, Monday through Friday, that you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice? Just search for the John Campea Show podcast.